Alright, what's going on, guys? So today, the big thing we're going to talk about is how to use defensive abilities properly. I think using defensives got made a lot easier with Necromancy with the advent of Bone Shield and not having to actually do a shield switch, but just carry runes instead. I think that's just going to make defensives a lot more accessible to a lot of players. So yeah, the boss I'm going to do that is Raksha, so I can kind of show you how some of the defensives work and how you can go about using them. I'm assuming that some of you have tried Raksha based on the guide that I put out, but we're just going to get into a kill, and then I'm still going to kill it normally, but I'm going to show you some of the defensive measures that you can take in order to do this as boss. I'm not going to overload or anything. I want to kind of limit how much damage I'm doing here, so that we can actually see more of the mechanics. So this first mechanic is the tail swipe, and tail swipe, there's a lot of ways to deal with it. You can use defensive to deal with it, but the best way is just walk away and then walk back in. So this next mechanic is going to be his stun and shadow bomb. So the way you can deal with that is let him stun you and then freedom it, which I'll show you that. But let's say you're not super familiar with this mechanic, you just know you're supposed to freedom. So, okay, I freed him now, and then I kind of got out of the way in time, but that was a little dicey, right? If I wasn't sure that it was coming and I was confused, or I'm just not really familiar with this boss, there's a good chance that I end up getting hit by that, and that's really bad. So, but I still didn't get hit by it, which is good. We're not gonna underestimate that taking less damage is more better. But on the flip side of it, we have, instead of using freedom, we have another move called anticipate. And anticipate makes you CC immune for, I think it's 10 seconds, actually a really long time. So if we know a stun is coming, then what we can do is use anticipate instead. And we're just going to go through the beginning of this kill again. So now he's going to tail swipe.
Do not let him absorb the shadow.
So he does a mechanic every 4th auto attack, so this is auto attack number 3. I know he's gonna do the stun now. So I anticipate one attack early, and look, I can just move now. So now that wasn't even close. I had so much time to move there. Just because I knew the stun was coming, and instead of reacting to it, I preemptively moved. So now another thing that we can do is, if we know we're going to take a lot of damage, using moves that reduce our opponent's damage are things that are going to be really, really powerful, right? So, Raksha's main transition mechanic, or his transition mechanic, is the rock fall. So, let's say that we're not really comfortable with moving around and casting yet, and we just want to just get out a little bit more damage before we have to clear pools. What we can do is we can just stand still and use reflect. And then if we're not comfortable with that, we can also use debilitate. Now, instead of the rocks doing, 4,000 damage each, they're doing 800 each. And that's, another way that we can use our defensives. Okay, if you know you're not comfortable with the moving and casting yet, you can just use defensive instead to kind of augment your playstyle. And that's just another way that you can use defensives. There are also defensives like Resonance, which can either nullify a fully typeless hit, or they can heal you based on your damage that would be dealt to you from a non-typeless hit. That's also an option that you can do. And then Barricade is going to be really good at places like Zuk, where for the 3rd challenge specifically, where you're taking you need to not get hit at all. What Barricade does, it just makes you completely immune to damage. for the duration scales with your shield level. So with really good shields, I think it ends up going up to like 10 seconds. You can also use the Turtling 4 perk, which increases your shield duration. And then you can also use, you can have a Malatops in your player-owned farms. So let me show you what that's about. Do I need the full outfit to teleport? Can I just use the headpiece? I need to wear the full outfit. That's really annoying. That's fine. We'll just go to Artie. So if you have a Malatops, nice, I got a new dinosaur. I'm gonna finish this log at some point, but that's for another day. So with the large breeding pens, you can, well, for all the breeding, or for all of the pens, you can put farming totems here. And what happens with farming totems with the Malatops is they'll increase the duration of your barricade. I think it's up to like 4 seconds or something. You'll get extra on top of what you normally get. So that's another way you can increase your barricade's duration. Then it also goes up with shield level. So right now, level 58 shield, we get a... we get an 8-second barricade. So now we'll show you what it looks like with a stronger shield. So with the stronger shield, we get an 11.2 second barricade. So like, there are definitely instances where you're going to want to barricade if there's a lot of times where you need to avoid a lot of damage in like a relatively short amount of time. So Ambassador is another place where barricade's really good, especially if you have your Malatops in, where if he absorbs, you know, 3 or 4 spinners, you can get like a 17-second barricade, which I believe that's good enough to eat 4 spinners, but I would need to look into it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for defensive. Defensives are relatively easy to use. The biggest thing about defensives is to be aware that they exist and kind of plan around the what if. Because a lot of the best PVMers are going to be decently creative with their ability usage, in the sense that if they mess up, they're like ready for that possibility. Where, oh, you're fighting Raksha and you took like 1 hit that you weren't really ready to take. I'll actually just do a Raksha kill so you can kind of see like what I mean by that. So like, I'm gonna do this kill normally, but I'm gonna try to be aware of like what the situation is, and then kind of plan around my defensives accordingly. So one thing I'm already thinking about is, okay, if he hits me down to a point where like I don't have any food with me, so if he hits me down to a point where I don't think I can just sustain through it, then I'm gonna be open to using resonance, and I'm like already ready for that being the case. And then in P4, he also does a lot of damage. So I'm already like thinking about, okay, what if, you know, I have the resources for Reflect. If he's doing a lot of damage to me, then Reflect is actually going to be really powerful during that phase. So that's something that I'm thinking about now. So right now I'm full health. So I just took a lot of damage, and I even signed. But like, I have my resonance on, so now he hit my resonance, and now I'm full health. So the fight is still going, and I don't think I can kill him in time. So now I'm gonna put on Reflect because it's gonna preserve my health bar, but it's also just going to do a decent amount of damage to him. And then if he wasn't close to dying, I would have considered using Debilitate as well. So obviously I signed, and that wasn't good. But that was more to show, like, okay, you're in a bad scenario, and you have access to all your defensives. So it's important to think about, like, okay, if these things happen, I like want to be ready to have my resonance available. I want to be ready to have my reflect or my debilitate available. So hopefully this helps you guys with using your defensives and kind of shows you like what I'm thinking about when defensives are on the menu. Because there's a lot of bosses where you kind of know what you need to do. So some methods of killing P4 of Raziel is you plan on like building up to 75 adren, standing still, using reflect, and then you using skulls. Like that's the plan going into it. But there are other times, or if you're an ambassador and eats too many spinners, like you're planning to build adrenaline and then use barricade. But there's other times where you kind of need to figure it out, and being in a headspace where figuring it out is an option is something that I think will help you guys out a lot. So yeah, let me know if there's any other tips and tricks you guys are looking for. I have a couple more of these planned right now, and then I'm gonna start moving into more boss specific stuff. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Give the video a like, sub if you like the content, and I'll see you in the next one.